What's good, savages? Welcome to Friday Night Live. I'm your host, Savage Paulson. If you haven't done so, please help me out. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, SVG TV. You're here right now, you're watching, so obviously just hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. Greatly appreciate it. Also, you can go ahead, give SVG TV a follow on Instagram, svgtv.yt. Why .yt? Well, because SVG by itself was taken, so I had to add the .yt for YouTube at the end instead of the default that they give you, as a number, like SVG 5844. Like, it's weird. But then you try SVG TV 11 and it's available. Like, why didn't you just give me SVG TV like simple numbers instead of adding four numbers at the end? It's Friday night. The mood is right. Gonna have some fun, show you how it's done. TGIF. Do you guys remember that? When I was young on Friday night, you'd watch ABC. Is it ABC? TGIF. Had all the best shows. There's no Netflix back then. Some of you might be too young to remember that. It's weird to think that certain people from certain generation are never going to live in a world where they have access to so much shows just immediately with no commercials. It ages me when I speak of things like this, but I have two kids, a 13-year-old son, about to be 14, and a 9-year-old daughter. And I get to watch them grow and interact. And as much as I see so much of ourselves in them, me and my wife, oh man, I gotta sit straighter. I'm always lunging forward. Fuck, it's gonna kill my back. I'm just gonna lean back here a little bit. So, as much, I'm gonna fix this. I should have done this before, right? What do you think? Right? As I was saying, as much as I see a lot of my kids, a lot of ourselves in my kids, I mean, there's just so much difference in the way they're raised and the amount of information they have access to just immediately. And my 9-year-old daughter was sitting in her room yesterday, her laptop open. She's watching a video on the birds, the kiwis. People know what it is. Those cute little round birds. I believe native of Australia. Is that sounds right? Right? I might be wrong. Doesn't matter. I gotta check it out now. Right? New Zealand, obviously. That's what I meant to say. So she's in her room and laptop open, YouTube, she's watching a video. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, she's like, I'm doing research for a project. A project. I said, she's like, yeah, I have to do a presentation on the Kiwis. So I'm looking up videos and she had written down like 10 facts about Kiwis. She came later in the room. She's like, Dad, can you translate these things? I said, I wrote them all in English because the video was in English, but my presentation's in French. So I helped her out. I said, you don't need an app for that. So just read that out loud. You know French, so just translate, She's so automatic to just like be like, yeah, just mom, can you use your phone? Dad, can you use your phone to transfer? Because she knows there's a thing on my phone that just immediately transfers everything, right? But when she sat next to me, and I said, "Look, okay, let's read the first sentence." And we read the first, I think it was like kiwis are bird or something simple. Or no, what was it? Something about how they don't fly. They have very small wings and they don't fly. So I said, read it. Do you know how to say it in French? You know what it means? She's like, yeah, so say it in French. So she said it in French. I'm like, there you go. You write it down. You know, my point with all this is number one, she has, the other day, she was also on her laptop and she was watching a video about, I forget what it is. I forget what it was. Whirlpools. Like these big, like whirlpools in the ocean. And I said, why you? She's like, oh, I just wanted to learn about whirlpools. And she wrote a bunch of information, did like a presentation. She didn't need to. It wasn't asked for school or anything. She just wrote down the information and then came to us and then did her little presentation. And she learned all these new things about whirlpools. And I was like, wow. Proud, obviously. My daughter is smart. My kids are. I'm, grateful and hashtag blessed. But just the fact that they have access to immediate information with the internet, something I didn't have at my at their age. Everything, all the information that they're constantly bombarded with. I mean, it's pretty crazy if you think about it. And they're growing up in this environment and growing and learning in this completely different environment. I guess it's the same thing. Like every generation goes through this. That's the funny thing, right? Our parents went through the same thing. Their parents went through probably the same thing. But I feel like the technological advancement from the last 30 years to the 30 years before and the 30 years before that and then so on and so forth is there's such a bigger gap. The advancements are so much greater in the last 30 years than the, well, maybe not the 30 years before. I guess it's how you define technology. I guess maybe I'm seeing it all wrong, but fix my camera. Anyway, I'm grateful that I have these great children that are smart and intelligent and resourceful and proactive. Not always, but my wife tells me all the time how lucky we are. It's something I started doing this week, talking about being grateful. By the way, I don't script these things. When I see that there's no one watching live, I just go and whatever comes to mind, I just talk. So I'm sorry if you're bored, but I just kind of work through shit, whatever comes to mind. If people jump in, I interact, hopefully, or maybe they just watch and listen, but it doesn't matter. It's Friday night and the mood is right. What was I saying? My head jumps from, being grateful. I fucking remembered. Woo. So in the morning, I have this routine. I'm such like Monday to Thursdays, morning to night, the routine is Friday is pretty much the same, but there's changes because kids don't have school the next day and it's a bit more willy nilly. But I have this, I wouldn't call it strict, but it's like, it's the same thing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I get up. Within 30 minutes, I'm the door. 10 minutes, I'm at work. Work till 3. Come home. I either pick up my kids or they walk home from school when it's nice. So in this whole week, they walked home. They're really close. So by 3:15, I'm at home. I work out / run. Come back, help my kids with their homework if necessary, get dinner ready. Wife shows up at home after work about between 5:30 and 6. Dinner, then it's either I'm recording a podcast or I'm working on editing or uh, getting all their lunches, all the stuff ready for the next day. And then I do spend some me time, aka vegging on the couch, watching either a rerun episode of Friends that is on pretty much 24/7 in my house. My wife loves that show. It's in the background all the time. If the TV's on and we're not sitting down and watch something specifically, chances are Friends is on. Isn't it funny that there's a lot of, like, I get it. I've watched every episode of Friends about a dozen times. When it was on Netflix, it was an automatic, like, oh, we can't decide what to watch. Like, we're watching Friends. My wife would, so we just go through season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 10. All the way. Anyway, there's a few things in Friends that now in the climate we live in now, that is like cringe a little bit. You're like, couldn't say that anymore. Couldn't make that episode. It happens a lot, I must admit. But I don't give a fuck. Nah, it makes me laugh. I laugh. I'm sorry. It's funny. I know some people now, they kind of cringe and it's like, oh, like they're offended by Friends. It's funny to me. This being offended by everything, but most importantly, being offended by old shit that was done in a time when no one got offended. Isn't it funny? I mean, it's a subject that's been beaten, you know, it's been spoken so many times, but I feel like, I don't know if I've said this before. I'm sure if I am repeating myself, I apologize, but there's something to be said about this. Again, I'm sure everybody's talked about this, but about everything being about a lot of people getting offended over everything. I'll have my take on it, on why it's more prevalent now and why things are different, and I get it. I don't have the same view as many people or others, but I have my view. It's like something I'm trying to stay in line here with when I'm getting to a point. Hopefully I'll remember it, but sometimes I speak, talk of the devil, my kids are home. So, what was I saying? Offended. I was talking about Friends. Everybody getting offended. I got sidetracked when I heard my family coming home. There's something to be said about, you know, the time and climate we live in. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy ass shit going on in this world. It's no doubt. I can't really say there isn't, because there is. But at the end of the day, we probably live in the safest time in the whole history of the planet. We've never been safer with everything. We have medicine for everything. It's crazy. Life is so much easier now than it was 100 years ago, 50 years ago, but let's say 100 years ago, 150. Like, you don't have to go that far. Like, people think, oh, 150 years. This is compared to the whole history is not a lot. It's not a lot. We're safer. It's easier to live. I mean, it's crazy. We don't have a need for so many people of a certain character. I'll just say that. We don't need as many men, women that need to be protectors. I'm trying to think these thoughts through right now, but what I mean is that we don't, there's a lot of people in society that is not really necessary anymore because of this quote unquote safety. And sometimes I feel that because life is so much easier, that we're just looking for shit to get offended by because we kind of need this chaos a little bit in our lives. Do you know who doesn't need that type of chaos? Who doesn't need to get offended by everything? Is people, and this is my personal experience, I've been around savages from the world of mixed martial arts to pro wrestling. I've been around people that, you know, yeah. And around people that constantly grind and are focused to accomplish certain things and they are in a path to accomplishment and bettering. Is that a word? I guess I'll use it. I fucking said it. Bettering themselves. Bettering. That's the type of shit that. Anyway, a lot of these people I've met through my life that I had the chance of calling friends, some of them people on a mission, people that are constantly working towards a goal or accomplishment that at the end of the day they've spent all the energy they need. They're not worried about others' opinion. They're just focused on their goals and what they need to do in life. It takes a long time to get there. Like, it's increments. I'm speaking out of experience. I normally find that these people are the number one, the nicest. They're intimidating to be around if you don't know them. I can be sometimes like that. If you don't know me, I seem intimidating. I've been told that a lot, you you look mean, scary. And you get to know me and you're like, oh, fuck, yeah. They normally don't get offended. They don't have time. And that's one thing I've started to realize. Like, I go through these roller coasters, these funks sometimes, but when I come out of them, I always go higher than the last time. And it's just about a bit of momentum. I'm just trying to keep on track and just every day keep grinding. So now that I keep busy all the time. Because if I don't keep busy creating, I feel like that's when I get depressed. That's when the anxiety ramps up. So that's why I was saying earlier, like this routine that I'm on, like Monday to Friday, get up, work, work out, kids, homework, dinner. I empty the tank almost every single day. Yeah, I just spend time on social media, and yeah, sometimes I'll see something that makes me like, oh fuck, like what, like no, like what the fuck. Someone says something, and I want to. Sometimes I want to scream. I'm like, sometimes I'm on one side, sometimes I'm on the other. Sometimes I roll my eyes, I read posts, and I'm like, oh fuck, like what the fuck. Yeah, I am. I do. I'm not the only one. I know I'm not. And but I quickly realized that it's wasted energy, and I just kind of move on from it. As of before, I would have probably like it would have bugged me a lot more. I don't really spend much time in thought about it now anymore. I don't. And sometimes I feel, and this is something that I've heard, that some people kind of see it, people like me, in a certain way when it couldn't be, you know, further from the truth of what they really think about me or people like me. People that, like, when I tell people the importance of working out, for example, again, if you're just joining, if you're midway, sometimes you scroll through a video like that, this guy's boring, like just click, 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 click. Like, again, this is Friday Night Live. All right. I get on these tangents. I'm going left, I'm going right. I'm trying to stay the path. There's no theme. It's unrehearsed, unscripted. Again, when there's no one watching, it just ends up being a solo kind of a adventure of my thoughts and things that I've navigated through the week. My job leads me to have a lot of me time in my head, so I work a lot of my shit out, my insecurities and the things. It's great. So I kind of use this Friday Night Live sometimes to work through the shit that affected me, that made me think, that made me question my ideas and beliefs. There's something about me, I try not to attach myself to a lot of the things that I believe. I don't marry myself to these ideas. I just believe what I believe. And if one day someone comes up and gives me an argument that makes me go, maybe I'm wrong, then I'm open to the possibility of changing my ideas about a lot of things. Back to what I was saying, but for the most part, I'm so goddamn busy. I don't think about these things. I don't have time. By the time I'm done, by the time I'm showered, that I'm ready to veg, to just unwind before bed, I'm spent most of the time from work, working out, doing all these different things. I guess I'll keep this short for this Friday. I've been busy a lot this week, and I'm tired mentally and physically exhausted. It's a long week. Had some projects, undertook some projects at work to, to help out in the warehouse. So hard, hard week at work. Uh, had some hard workouts, some good runs. So I'm really spent today, and I'm wrestling tomorrow at Victory Ring in Thetford Mines. So it's a 2.5, 3 hour road trip both ways. So long day ahead of me tomorrow. But I'll finish with this. And it kind of leads into what I said earlier, or like ends up kind of in the same direction. And it's something I thought about this week. I don't think it necessarily needs to be working out, going to the gym. But for me, from the experience, from the people that have experienced the same thing, working out, physically imposing something hard on yourself every day, no matter how tired, how spent you are. I don't think there's any better tool, and I'm trying to not sound too preachy about it because there might be other things, but men especially, like, you need, and I take this probably way too serious, this um I guess responsibility. I honestly wish everybody would take it as serious as I did, but I know it's impossible. I just wish people understood I wish people understood how important it is in the grand scheme of everything, of society, the people that are around you. I wish people understood how much, how important it is to be the absolute best version of yourself every single day. For yourself, for the people around you, the people you come in contact with every day. I wish people understood that everyone has a role to play, has a responsibility. And if we all took that responsibility a little bit more seriously, I think the world wouldn't be where it's at right now. I see a lot of lazy, entitled people out there more than ever before. People that don't want to work, that don't want to do anything. People that hate constantly are negative and constantly complain about everything and anything. I have a hard time being around people like that. I try not to fuel the fire when someone is like that around me. I kind of just like try to walk away or try to be a little bit more positive, but I don't know. I wish people understood how important it is to try to be the best version of who you possibly are, and that if you did that every single day, then every single day that bar gets higher and higher, and you just keep leveling up little by little by little. I honestly think we'd all be in a better place, and there wouldn't be so much of this angst and hate and constant debate and yelling, and it's weird. Maybe it's just because I'm getting older and I'm paying more attention to these types of things, or maybe it's because they're just louder and more prevalent. I heard this poem the other day, and I don't want to sound like cheesy and all like, ugh, but I normally don't partake in reading poems or anything. It's not like, but this one really meant something. It's called Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul. Thanks for listening. This was Friday Night Live. I'm Savage Paulson. Once again, if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button. Help me out. It's greatly appreciated. Much love. Stay savage.